Hello, everybody. It is the first weekend of June 2022, and this is the weekly, and we are both sick. Hopefully,
Well, it's just a cold. It's not Rona.
hopefully I don't cough. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully, I mean, we don't have monkeypox.
It's definitely not monkeypox.
Well, apparently there are now 5 known cases of monkeypox in Toronto.
Now, whatever. Woo. Monkeypox has been around for God knows how long.
I know, but it's never spread like from human to human.
Yeah, well,
Imagine,
I think there's a conspiracy or two to say about that.
imagine if it's like a symptom of the vaccine.
That would
It's
be
somehow
awful.
related to the vaccine.
But that doesn't really make sense in terms of how it's been traveling, though.
Maybe the vaccine makes you more susceptible to it.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a possibility.
Anyways, Canada has 77 cases now.
And Theresa Tam is very concerned, apparently.
Yeah, very concerned. She just doesn't run out of work to get paid for.
No, apparently not.
Bank of Canada could hike interest rates past 3% to bridle inflation. First of all, 3% would destroy everything.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even fight inflation.
Yeah.
Because it's not 3% is less than half. Not even 3% isn't even close to what inflation is. So imagine if inflation's 10% and interest rates are 3%, then that means when you borrow money and you pay 3% interest, you're still gaining 7% because the value of the money you're paying back is losing 7% every year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a negative interest rate. So
yeah, basically.
How are you going to fight inflation like this?
You can't.
But so this is the history of Canada's interest rate. So the last time we were at 3% was way back in 2008. So we had 3% in 2008. Well, we had 4.25 all the way into 4.5.
Mind you, though, like we didn't have major inflation problems back then.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different.
It doesn't happen until it happens. And then, so we had 4.5. Yeah, exactly. So they've run out of room. So every time they've been able to lower, if I go max on this, every time they've been able to lower interest rates whenever the economy was about to crash. But now we're at the end of the road.
Yeah.
So we had 4.5%, we had 3%, and then 2008 we went down to looks like 0.5%, and then they tried to raise it again to 1%, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah,
right?
Just fell back down.
In 2015 they had to go back down, and they went back down to 0.5%, and then they tried to raise it again, and then they raised it all the way up to 1.75% in 2018. And then conveniently, as the economy was just about to collapse, the COVID also happened, and then they gave a convenient excuse to go back down like this. And
what else is new?
And look, we're trying to lift off again. And look, this time, look at how rushed we are this time to raise these interest rates. But you can't. You're at the bottom. You can't. Notice how all the tops are always lower and all the bottoms are lower too. This is a 50-year cycle that we're coming to the end of, and this is the end of the currency. Panic. Calgary firearms shops say proposed gun law triggers run on pistols. This is so stupid because all of those guns are registered.
Yeah.
So if they get banned, they're all
they're all registered.
You're all gonna lose it in a boating accident.
RCMP is gonna come knocking on your door
You're
anyway.
Say you lost it in a boating accident in Calgary.
I mean, yeah, that's the best you can really say, huh?
PC leader bucks history to set conservative seat count record in Ontario election.
Was it a record?
It was apparently not. Apparently it was 86. So I don't know what's up with this headline, but I don't care enough about this. I just wanted to.
Yeah, Ford, Dougie, he won again. Of course. I mean, literally, if you knew anything about politics or watched anything in relation to politics in the last couple of years, you would know that he was gonna win again.
I just wanted a chance to say that he's gonna bring more lockdowns.
Oh, of course.
And lowest voter turnout. That's good.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
First reading. Does the World Economic Forum secretly control the Canadian government?
Gee, I wonder.
No, but it's not an entirely crazy idea. This World Economic Forum head Klaus Schwab certainly acts like the head of a global conspiracy.
Well, yeah,
he
no
has
shit.
a thick German accent, eerily straight posture, and that crazy outfit. He and a penchant to consistently claim that he deserves the Nobel Prize and has infiltrated governments around the world. He said of Justin Trudeau's cabinet, I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of his cabinet, or even more than half of his cabinet, are actually young global leaders, talking about his Young Global Leaders
Yeah, he
program.
said this a long time ago.
And the conclusion of this article is the World Economic Forum is basically a group of absurdly rich people pretending they're saving the world.
Yeah, no shit.
So, okay, yeah, so they're all crazy,
Uh-huh.
but they're in our governments.
Yeah.
So it's like,
okay.
It's like, it's not a conspiracy. They just all think the same crazy shit that's going to destroy our society.
Yeah. So
That's
it seems like
such a relief.
Yeah, very much a relief. Some people are starting to wake up that elitists like this exist and they're in massive groups and they are infiltrated in many governments, which is kind of sad because just months ago they were like, you're a conspiracy theorist, how dare you?
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, stop drinking the Kool-Aid so hard, dude.
If the World Economic Forum is guilty of any conspiracy, it's the one where they convene unbelievably expensive conferences in Davos, Switzerland, and where attendees eat $50 burritos and pretend that they're altruistic heroes out to save the planet. Yeah, that's true. You can make fun of them, but they also run the government.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
That's
this
issue.
Article in particular is one hell of a cope.
Yeah.
Like they are desperately trying to make fun of them because they feel like they can't change the fact that these people are in government.
There's a bit of a difference between attending a conference and being a compliant Illuminati puppet. No, it's not that they're taking directions. It's that they all believe in the same society destroying
ideology.
idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, you missed the mark a little bit there.
Yeah, just a tad.
But, at least you wrote about it. Anyways, facing up to a poly crisis that the Bank of Canada may not have the tools to fix. I guess they didn't want to say perfect storm. They wanted to say poly crisis. The world is dealing with multiple problems that higher rates alone can't solve. And I read the article, and the multiple problems is just global recession. Interest rates can't solve global recession.
They definitely wrote it like this on CBC because they don't want their followers to panic, and
the cost of
the bank would be pissed.
The cost of raising interest rate is going to be high.
Yeah, no shit.
There's pent-up demand, lots of debt, and fucking global recession. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's not a poly crisis. That's just one crisis. Like, we do have a poly crisis. A perfect storm, but you didn't even scratch the surface there, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oops. BC will decriminalize up to 2.5 grams of hard drugs.
All right, hold on.
Doesn't matter what the drug is.
Okay, I was going to ask.
2.5 grams of
what the fuck?
Whatever.
This is what they're doing. BC has always done weird, fucked up shit like this, and people are just okay with it for some reason.
Drug users say that threshold won't decriminalize them.
Like, are you kidding me?
2.5 grams, man, that's not enough.
I mean, yeah, if you're talking to like a meth user or someone who is doing, I don't know, coke, like 2.5 grams is really low.
Why don't you just don't walk around with more than 2.5 grams? And also, it's not like you're getting extra criminalized. It's still the same.
Yeah, it's the exact same.
It's like just you.
Like whatever. Like it's such a, oh my God, we're doing something. Look at us.
But it's not enough.
It's literally, one, it's not enough. Two, it doesn't matter. Three, it's fucking hard drugs. Like we have actual fucking problems to be dealing with here.
Bulk buying, spread of fentanyl means many entrenched drug users carry more than 2.5 grams.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh no. Yeah, that's illegal. Okay. It's not allowed. UK did we already talk about this last week?
Did we? I think we did. Well, we did talk about
Yeah.
windfalls, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think we already talked about that. How they rule things out and then they do the exact thing. I'm not sure if we did.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe we talked about it
Very
privately.
briefly.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Boris Johnson understands that the windfall tax on oil and
Yeah,
gas
I had
would
you
be
explain it
counterproductive.
and everything. Mind
Yeah.
you, again, we're sick.
And they do the
Mika's a
exact
little.
thing. And Doug Ford did the exact thing, and
Yeah,
he will
exactly.
do it again.
He will do it again because it's Dougie.
When they say ruling out something, that's they're gonna do it. A
Yeah.
blue whale's vagina is so big and deep that 5 to 6 men can easily lay down in it, making it the world's next biggest pussy after the Uvalde Police Department. Did I already read that?
No, you didn't. I sent this week, but
Only the government should have guns. A real Indian would know better.
I also sent this.
Okay, fact check. The World Economic Forum does not have a stated goal to have people own nothing by 2030. Okay, what a relief. Also,
Ooh.
fact check. The World Economic Forum is not planning to take your positions.
Oh my God,
Thank
I thought
goodness.
this was so funny,
It's so funny.
when I saw that.
And then this is from the World Economic
Exactly.
Forum, November 22, 2016. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. And I eat some bugs.
Honestly,
eat
it's
some bugs.
wild that they posted this and saw no problem with it.
Yeah.
Even in 2016, like if you look at the comments, the first comment says, Jesus, this is one of the most disturbing things I've ever read. Globalism is cancer.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus Christ, if you posted this in 2016, thought it was okay, how the fuck did we go from this and arrive to where we are now and people are just okay with it? What kind of subliminal messaging have they been doing in the meantime?
Yeah, Alibaba Group President J. Michael Evans boasts at the World Economic Forum about the development of an individual carbon footprint tracker to monitor what you buy, what you eat, and how you travel. Okay, so that's just totalitarianism. Because
yes, exactly. It's like, thank you. You've walked us into China.
Yeah, they could just slowly close in the fences over time, and
exactly.
Eventually, if you don't control your soul's desire for freedom and you write a bad tweet, then your bank account's frozen.
Like, not to be harsh on people in any way to call them sheep, but this is literally them herding sheep. That's what this is.
But they're also causing a danger to the species. So
exactly,
shame
because
on you.
Realistically, all they care about is their mortality. They don't care about anybody else's mortality. They think we're all livestock and think we're expendable.
I'm saying at a certain point, I don't know. I don't think we're like there yet, but at a certain point, if you don't wake up to this nonsense, then you are a part of the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, you've been brainwashed into thinking that this is okay behavior.
I asked the World Economic Forum's head of climate about the Davos meeting's carbon footprint and if the World Economic Forum asks attendees not to come by private jet. Of course, they all came by private jet.
Of course, because it's in the middle of nowhere in Sweden.
Bill Gates at the same forum. In 10 years from now, we will be able to diagnose an entire population within a month.
See?
So it's going to be spider pox.
Or something of
weasel pox.
Something. Maybe not a pox.
Is there a plan to diagnose or to infect? Just say it.
I love Twitter for that reason.
What they want you to think the metaverse is.
What it actually is. Yeah. It's literally what it's going to be. Like people
explosive audio leak details China's plan to invade Taiwan.
Well,
I looked at this and I was like, oh wow.
Wow.
Oh, this is actually from last week. Anyway.
Not the point. Point being is that
but actually,
no shit.
This is like pretty detailed. So it appears to be authentic, and it's the first time a military meeting has been leaked. And they're trying to find the source of the leak.
Well, of course, because then they're going to kill him.
This is ahead of the bitter power struggle later this year, where Xi Jinping's trying to get an unprecedented third term.
I guess their firewall isn't as impenetrable as they say it is.
Well, no, this is leaked by someone who is against the plans, basically. And that's what I'm thinking.
Still.
Not still. This is so anybody can leak anything, but so I
didn't mean like it was someone else, but either way, it still managed to get outside of the military. But yeah,
So
detailed, definitely. They're going to look for this person for God knows how long.
that's not what the article's about, though. The article's about how detailed the actual plans are, which talks about switching to basically from regular economy to wartime economy. And they're revealing like certain vital industries which would play a central role in the execution of the war, companies that are involved in drone manufacturing, production of boats, and telecommunication and satellite services companies.
Wait, so they weren't in wartime governance before? Like they act like they're constantly in wartime, especially after COVID.
No, they don't. They're talking about like literally like switching into military mobilization. So they're talking about specific mobilization tasks of like detachments and personnel and shit, including like grade depots, hospitals, blood stations, oil depots. And they're basically discussing pre-war preparation. So it says the meeting is taking place to discuss orderly transition from normal to war status, to discuss military planning and mobilization.
Mm-hmm.
To establish a national defense mobilization command system, implement a wartime work mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
and carry out wartime supervision preparation. So this is pretty shocking in terms of like how specific and how far along on the warpath these plans are. No, it's not just China's in wartime all the time. It's literally, this is a very significant step towards changing the machinery of the state towards wartime footing. And then people are going to be surprised, like, oh, we could have never seen this coming, China invading Taiwan and stuff. And this is way earlier than you'd expect if they were going to invade in 2027, like is widely suspected.
Well, I don't know. There's been a lot of back and forth on what people think it's going to happen within this decade and such, even within 5 years.
Not really. There isn't that much back and forth. It's pretty much like anybody who knows anything is pretty much in unanimous agreement by now that this war is going to happen this decade, right? Even people who don't
but I
know,
mean, within 5 years, there's some talk about it, but it sounded like panic mostly. I know for a fact that the Taiwanese people actually have like the citizens, not the government, have no idea that this is on its way. Like at least the younger population. There's been YouTube documentaries and interviews of street people who literally know nothing about this. And it's kind of sad. This will probably put them in full panic, though. It should put the US in full panic.
No,
that's for sure.
Nobody's even going to pay attention to this.
They really should.
This is already more than a week old.
Jesus, even though the US has walked back Biden's statements of saying that they're going to protect Taiwan anyway.
Yeah. And then when China invades Taiwan, everybody's going to act like they're surprised.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be like, Xi Jinping may just have made the error that ends his rule.
Yeah, which
the West is beating China at its own game. Xi Jinping's war has been a fiasco. And then
same shit.
You are the carbon they want to reduce.
Yes. I actually don't know if this is from the actual show because the writing looks pretty close, but it could be Photoshopped.
Definitely not from the actual
show. Oh, you'd
show.
Be surprised. There was some serious like government shit that they used to subliminally put in that show.
That is not.
Yes, it is true.
That is not from the show. Don't say that. That is some really that is some shit that you just said. Anyway. Israel hacked Iran's secret documents about spying on the UN International Atomic Inspection Agency. So just look at a random one. They stole all of these documents and then put it on a public Google Doc with English translations.
Great.
And this is another flashpoint that's probably going to be a war. It's looking more and more like Iran is getting closer and closer to building a nuclear weapon, and Israel will just go and bomb them before that happens. So that's getting closer. Egypt and Ethiopia, that war is getting closer. A lot of these flashpoints are getting much closer to happening. And It's kind of like how Azerbaijan, Armenia, or Ukraine, Russia, like you can see these inevitable conflicts coming from like a mile away. As soon as there's a certain point where you cross the point of no return, and now war becomes inevitable. And it's better for you to be the first side to identify that, as long as you identify that correctly. So this, I think Israel and Iran, I think unless something happens within the next year or two where Iran just collapses on its own, I think that there's going to have to be a war here at some point.
I saw footage of a massive protest on Twitter of thousands of people protesting the regime in Iran, like just recently. And yeah, the collapse might be a lot closer than we think.
Same in the US. Summer fuel shortages could be worse than the 1970s oil crisis, according to the International Energy Agency head.
Okay.
So like look at the timing on this. Like we're literally in May 31st, 2022, and we're talking about US summer fuel shortages. So we're talking about like we're running out of gas like now. And how are you gonna how are you gonna eat?
Well, yeah, you need oil.
How are you gonna eat? How is this stuff gonna get to the supermarket without?
You need oil
gas,
to fucking produce the food, to harvest the
You
food,
need
to
oil.
transfer the food.
You need oil to make the electricity, but
You need it
without
for everything.
without electricity, you can't operate the gas stations, and then without the gas stations, you can't get the gas to operate the vehicles to fix the power.
We
and,
might be going back to horse times.
yeah, and like the thing is, the next support level, if you break the support level and you go down to the next support level, there's no support level there, and all the systems are just super interconnected. If you ran out of electricity to operate the gas stations, and then there's the trucks didn't have gas to bring food to the supermarkets, where is the bottom?
Well, that's just it.
It's going to take a while to get everything figured out straight after that.
Assuming that we're even able to figure it out afterwards. If the world doesn't fall into anarchy like it did when COVID hit.
Or if we don't get demilitarized.
Yeah.
So Russian state TV claims NATO's already started World War III. Now Russia must demilitarize all Western powers. This kind of like cheerleader. So Russian state TV, it's like totally government controlled. So you can't really get anything on there without government approval.
Yeah.
And one of the basically pro-government pundits is saying Russia has to demilitarize all the Western powers. So just gives you a little bit of a temperature check. I thought this was just interesting. All of South America is east of Windsor.
Oh, great. Thanks for the fact.
Anyways, this is saying Tamagotchi kids. Could the future of parenthood be having virtual children in the metaverse?
I thought this shit was the most fucking dystopian thing I have ever seen in my life. I was like, if there's anything WEF is pushing.
Oh my goodness.
This is how you control population and herd the sheep, apparently.
Oh my goodness. This is not sane.
No, it's not.
But
I've seen other articles about
if you
the
say
same
this
thing.
is insane, you're being ableist.
Yeah, according to them.
Johnny Depp's Amber Heard trial verdict will have a devastating, chilling effect. As a Black woman, survivor of domestic abuse, no Oxford comma, and writer who has penned work detailing my abuse, I will be haunted by this verdict and its implication for years to come.
There's like whole memes of people collecting these titles in particular. And then there's now articles coming out about how the public has lost total trust in MSM because of this. So it had a pretty significant impact, if you think about it.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, people had started to realize that as soon as everybody watched this trial and they watched him win, essentially, and they watched him actually reveal the fact that he was a victim of abuse and she wasn't.
So mainstream media was still making shit up.
They were still making shit up, especially afterwards. They literally said that it was a misogynistic attack on women. It made no sense. So then the entire internet was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they expect people to just watch the headlines as usual.
Exactly. So there's like the smallest amount of people that supported Amber Heard because they're delusional and think they can fix her. And then everybody else was like, what is this mainstream media shit doing? Why are they writing stuff like this?
It was a shattering outcome for
Yeah.
women and survivors of domestic violence across the
which is
nation.
bullshit, because most of the people that were supporting Depp were victims of domestic violence.
Do you think the jury made the right decision? No. Like a 70% say yes. All right, let's go. Oh, let's see if I can bring it back. There we go. 71%.
But yeah, it's pretty pathetic, to be honest. And now a lot of the
I have
MSM
first-hand experience with the way the courts can be manipulated in this way. Bro. Anyways, that's enough of that. I turned my gun in to help fight gun violence. Did you cut your dick off to help fight rape?
Yep, sent that one too.
Distressingly high level of support for assassinating politicians among young Democratic men.
Great.
Civil war, guys. Civil war. Please.
I didn't expect to actually go to the war.
US government has been arming Ukraine because they're allies. US government has been seeking to disarm Russia because they're opponents. In totally unrelated news, the US government seeks to disarm you.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Pandemic
yes,
treaty
this.
related headlines. We need a global pandemic treaty.
Which was wild.
WHO to discuss global pandemic treaty. Clouded by pandemic treaty backlash. But no, the WHO is not planning to implement a pandemic treaty. So
yeah, it's called
fake
brainwashing.
Growing season off to a rocky start as prairie farmers contend with rain, snow, and flooding. So that's what I've been saying for a while now. So, well, I looked at the USDA crop reports here, and it does actually look like everything is catching up quite nicely, which is
so far.
Oh my goodness, that's not what I want to look at. Yeah, it does look like we're catching up to the averages in terms of the stuff that's being planted. So that's good. So it's just a matter of the actual yield at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There's the yield, and then there's the actual processing, there's the transportation, and then there's the inflation. So
yeah, even though weather can turn around and you can still get things planted, that doesn't necessarily mean that your yield is going to be amazing.
Still very slow in Canada. Slow start to seeding, driving concerns about 2022.
Yeah, it's fucking cold up here.
The stakes are high, with the war in Ukraine spurring global food security fears and driving prices for commodities such as wheat and canola. Domestically, farmers also need to grow enough to break even financially. Supply chain snarls and inflationary pressures have driven up prices for everything from tractor parts to fertilizer. And farm groups say that means the hectares seeded by North American farmers this spring are the most expensive in history. But like it says, rocky start.
Yeah.
Anyways, so 76% of the hectares in the province have been seeded as of May 31st, compared to the 5-year average of 93%. So those crop reports,
76 is still better than it could have been far worse.
Yeah. So those crop reports that I was showing earlier, they're talking about that. Those are basically showing that this percentage is catching up to the 5-year average pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So our percentage is still maybe catching up, and but the point is that that's just the planting part, right? Then there's the actual growing, then there's the actual harvesting.
Yeah.
There's big harvesting equipment that can't get proper parts. Who knows if they can get diesel? It's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, and we don't know what the weather's going to act like.
We don't know if there's going to be more weather anomalies. So so it's looking like maybe a bit of a relief, but
possibly.
But it's still very possible that we could have massive food shortages this year for all these other reasons. Like what I'm trying to say is that the reason I brought up the point about the crops actually going okay is that is one part. So there's the planting the crops, then they have to grow properly, then they have to be processed. There has to be like transportation along all the routes. Your grocery store has to get electricity, and they have to get employees, and you know what I mean? There's a lot of other steps that need to go right as well. Crop report showing planting continuing with uneven progress. So it looks like a similar, it's type up of the same newswire source probably. Only 51% of oats have been seeded. 65% of flax, 66 of canola, 69 of barley, 75 of spring wheat. So spring wheat should be pretty much done by now. Anyways. Justin Trudeau wants to ban handguns in Canada. In Iran, one of the first things the Islamic regime did after taking power was collect and confiscate the people's guns. Today, they are killing unarmed people in the streets. Tyranny wants you weak and unarmed so they can oppress and control you. Insane gun control only serves tyrants. Gun rights are human rights.
It's true.
Why do people deserve the right to keep and bear arms? Because this is the reality of life on Earth, and this is an anomaly, and it can end at any time.
Yeah.
ifunny.co.
Thank you, iFunny, but also spitting facts.
Yeah, spitting them on also facts. Only a fool would give up a weapon in order for the government to protect them. The government can't even stop a telemarketer.
Honestly.
And like, even if we were in a state of like even... let's say everything's fine and someone's breaking into your house. You're going to wait for the cops to come?
No. You're going to grab the closest thing to a fucking weapon and trying to clock them, right? Like, that's kind of the point. Anyway, not to say that guns specifically are a human right, but they're only a human right because they exist. If they didn't exist, obviously, we'd be arguing about something else. But the fact that they exist and that civilians were allowed to carry them and own them and do whatever they want with them. You can't just take that away.
Yeah, the fact that it's a right just means that everybody else can't interfere with it.
Exactly. So, you get a bunch of people that are like, they shouldn't exist at all. It's like, well, we're a little beyond that point here. We got to focus on other things.
U.S. updates Taiwan fact sheet, says it does not back independence.
All right.
So the last month, the State Department changed its website on Taiwan, removing wording both on not supporting Taiwan independence and on acknowledging Beijing's position that Taiwan is part of China. So they basically got rid of we don't support Taiwan independence and Taiwan is a part of China. And then China got mad and then they added it back.
Yeah. Because China's big and scary. Like, hello. This is what I mean. Like, the government knows what the fuck is going on, but the civilians have no idea. No clue.
And in another version of this article, they were saying that it had nothing to do with China's opposition. The fact that they added it back, which is like, why even say that?
Why? Like, I don't need to read between the lines to know that that's like, why? So
I'm wondering if this is because the US got intel that like maybe the whole plan all along is to just do brinksmanship, just like how China keeps like testing the air defense zone of Taiwan. Or maybe this is like they tried it and then they got intel that China was actually going to invade like this year. And then so they walked it back so they had more time to prepare, even though time is on China's side.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could read this in a number of different ways.
Right.
Biggest fake news story in Canada, Kamloops mass grave debunked by academics.
Yep.
So remember the mass graves of Indigenous children at a residential school?
It's sad. This was posted a couple days ago, and this is the first I'm hearing of it. Like this morning, I heard of it this morning.
Yeah, this is May 27th. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like this is more than a week ago now.
Like I have half a mind to just post it to my Facebook and see what happens.
This is literally more than a week ago.
Like this is sad and no one's talking about it.
You should post it. I posted it on my Instagram story. But anyways,
I'll probably post it in both places. But
the alleged burial ground, which is said to include 215 bodies, some as young as 3 years old, was located with the help of ground penetrating radar at the site of former Kamloops Indian residential school. Number of bodies was based on irregularities in the ground ascertained by the radar waves, according to an anthropologist hired by the band to scan the site.
This is sad. The problem is that there was people saying, like, when they first discovered, quote unquote, these grave sites, people were like, there were other people living there too.
It's been a year. It was last May. It's been over a year.
Yeah. So it's like, you can't sit there and tell me they're all children and that the Catholic Church killed these kids. Like, there's definitely other people involved if they actually are graves.
Now, here's the interesting part. Not one body has been found.
Oh my God.
After months of recrimination and denunciation, where are the remains of the children buried at the
Yeah,
Kamloops
good question.
Indian Residential
Literally, where
School?
are they? Because like people who were buried like 70, 80 years ago still have bones in the ground. Like, where are they?
The spokeswoman of the nation confirmed to the Post this week that no bodies have yet been exhumed from the Kamloops school and no dates have been set to start excavations. He added that the report showing the results of the ground-penetrating radar has not been released by the band, but may be at some point in the future.
So you're telling me that there could be bodies in there, but there could also not be any bodies in there.
Yeah, they don't even know if there are any bodies in there.
They purely based it off of some shit that nobody understands. And I don't even think people have ever used this type of waves to detect shit in the ground before.
Yeah. Anyways, there was another grave site where it wasn't even like all children. There were like just adults. It was like a random cemetery. And also, even this grave site, it wasn't always unmarked. It was marked, and then it was marked for like hundreds of years, and then they unmarked it because graveyards don't always remain marked forever.
That's true. There's actually down in the US, in like southern states and stuff, there's lost like cemeteries everywhere because either the marking was removed over time or it fell down or like shrubbery grew over it, that kind of shit. That happens all the time, everywhere.
And so like this it's not like they found bodies where they weren't expecting to find bodies. This was like a known grave site, and the actual indigenous leaders have been trying to set the record straight on the fact that these aren't, first of all, these aren't mass graves. They are independent graves.
Yeah.
And they weren't always unmarked. They just happened to be unmarked at this stage hundreds of years later.
Yeah.
There's no saying that there's even bodies down there.
And very well may be
There's
decomposed.
There's no saying that they're all indigenous or that they're all children.
Yeah.
Or how many there are.
Yeah.
Nothing.
They just made an assumption, and they're also trying to link it to schools that were within the area.
And even if they were all indigenous children, there's no saying that a single one of them died because of the abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
And not saying that it didn't happen.
Yeah, no, it very much could have happened.
These particular graves are no evidence of, like, it's not like...
but the chances of them being dying at the hands of abuse is far lower than them dying at the hands of like tuberculosis or some other rampant disease at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway. Or even just like not having enough food to feed everybody. Maybe their home life was shit. Like, there's no telling how these people actually died or what their story was, and if they're even children or if they're even indigenous.
Yeah, if you want more information on this, there's a good video by Chris Chappell on America Uncovered about the mass grave story being fake. Okay, so anyways, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in, and see you.
Hopefully we won't be sick next week.
Yeah. Hopefully we won't kill.
We might have a baby by next week.
I know. So what do we can't be sick. Anyways, bye everyone. Bye.